All right. Shalom, Israel. I'm preaching Novus of a thousand. Come on, young. I got we're preaching Novus of a thousand. Shabbat Halak. And this is the history and news class in Florida, man. All right. ISPK history and news class. So today's topic is about the Irish cannot get a black pass. It's a lot of trending videos that's on TikTok about Irish people getting the black pass because they was in slavery just like black people was in slavery. But I'm here to challenge that, because I have a lot of articles and evidence to bring out about how Irish people was overseers. I mean, brutal overseers on the plantation, man. I'm talking about hitting black people in the back with bull whips. I mean, harshly, man. And also, the redhead people, they own slaves. Ginger snaps or slave owners, man. But our people are always trying to give somebody a pass. And our people coming out of that Christian church, they always trying to find some oppressor, some pilgrim to say, look, all oppressors ain't bad, all pilgrims ain't bad. Look, these pilgrims over here went into slavery just like us. They picked cotton just like us. They don't have, they don't have to be classified as oppressors. But guess what? Look at the Irish people now. Look at the redhead people now. Are they in the same condition that we are in? Huh? Do you know that the redhead people was a part of the slave patrol, hunting us down in the woods with dogs? But you want to give them a pass. You can't give them a pass, man. You can't give no oppressor a pass because every last one of those oppressors participated in white supremacy. And they had a big participation in white supremacy. But that would happen when you ignore history, you don't do no research, you just see one little small thing and you overlook all the bad things that they did to your people. Why? Because you're so concentrated on making them equal with you. You're so concentrated on being united, integrated, but they don't want to be integrated with you. When our people get unalive, like Trayvon Martin, George Floyd, do you see the redhead people? Do you see Irish people standing up with us, saying that's wrong? No, you don't. All right. But let's get that article, Shabbat. And also, being black is a condition. Even the African man, to me and my brothers, he can't allow himself to call himself black because he's not in the same condition that my people are in. He's in a better situation. Being black is a condition that's on the bottom. They are not on the bottom, man. They have a country to go back to. They have a heritage, a tongue, a military. What I mean by tongue, a language. They have culture. You look on TikTok, you look on any social media platform, their culture is original. They culture comes from their ancestors. Where's our culture? Our culture comes from our oppressors, even our first and last name. They took away everything from us. Africans have their heritage and the ways of their people, man. Of from back in the day, going back to their forefathers, man. It's us that going around here with no identity, man, calling ourselves black because we've been robbed of everything we used to own when it comes to identifying ourselves as a nation, man. And Irish people are not in this condition neither. They don't get a black pass. All right. So Shravazai, I wanna first start not with the article, but I want to start with those screenshots where it states that Irish people or the redhead people were overseers. An overseer is, a taskmaster, uh, you know, a person that's put in place to keep the slaves in line. Also, East Indians, they was put over Jamaicans over there in Jamaica to be taskmasters and keep them in line. So they ain't have it like us, man. They ain't have it like us. All right. And also, after the plantation, after slavery, they became the police. They went from slave patrol to the police. So they always was put in a better situation, in a better predicament than black people. Always being put over us. So how the hell they get a black pass? Yeah, man. Nah, not on my watch. I'm here to destroy that. So you got it, Shirazazar?
Con, I got the first screenshot. It reads, some historical accounts indicate that some Irish people served as overseers, taskmasters.
Read that
On
again. Read that again from the top.
some historical accounts indicate
Yeah.
that Mhm. Some
No, go
Irish
ahead.
people
No, no, no,
served.
bad. I can't hardly hear you. It's breaking up. Can you start from the top again? My bad, Shirazazar. Slap you. Ain't
God,
gonna
God,
stop you again. Go
I'm
ahead.
breaking up. Can you hear me good?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right. Some historical accounts indicate that some Irish people served as overseers, taskmasters, on plantations in the antebellum, U.S. South, and the Caribbean, particularly in the 18th and 19th centuries.
hmm And you know how that's so true, Shirazazar? Because if you look at Bob Marley, everybody think that Bob Marley is black, but Bob Marley is Irish.
Right.
His daddy is a Irish man, a pilgrim. And the Irish was over there being taskmasters over the Jamaicans. And that's how Bob Marley came into play because he messed with a Jamaican woman over there and had Bob Marley. That's the proof of the Irish being taskmasters over there because Bob Marley is the living evidence. All right? Read on.
God, it says, these individuals often accepted such roles to advance their economic interests, even if they found the system of racial slavery morally objectionable.
hmm
It says, important considerations. Merciless taskmasters. The abolish, abolitionist James Redpath observed in the late 1850s that Irish immigrants working in the South and gained a reputation for being particularly harsh taskmasters both among Southerners and enslaved Africans.
Mm-mm-mm.
Mm.
But they get a black pass. How can a taskmaster that used to hang my people from trees beat our back in? How can they get a black pass? How can you say they black because they was in the field with us? They graduated from the field from being a indentured servant. A indentured servant is more different than a so-called African American slave. Okay, because African American slave is kidnapped and forced to work for free all the days of his life. Those indentured servants got paid after they was done for 7 or 6 years, or 6 or 7 years. They got paid. You know, they got put in a better situation. Either they was working off a debt, but I guarantee you they was not a slave to the day they died, like black people are. Back then on the plantation, we had to work until we seen the grave and had to watch our children be a slave picking got cotton, to the day we die as well. We had to watch our kids, our kin folks get sold to another slave master, all of that. That has not happened to the Irish people, man. So how can you say they get a black pass and they are black just like us? No, they are not. Let them stay over there with their pilgrim people, man. Let them be who they are. You can't convert something that God didn't make them to be. You can't convert them into our arms and our pain and our struggles and our suffering. How dare you, Christian? You didn't learn from integration that loving these pilgrims, these oppressors, it don't work. It make things hard and worse for us as a people. It's nothing wrong with being selfish with your love when it comes to your own. Because guess what? Your love belongs to your own, your people, man, your nation. The rest of these nations, they know how to operate and behave when they travel and go somewhere else to work. A China man come over here and still be Chinese and still only love Chinese. You know, when we gonna learn our lesson? When we gonna learn how to be loyal? Man, every nation you see on this earth, they love their people. They would die for their people. But us, we are so willing to give our love to another, man. Yeah, it's because of that Christian church. Read a little bit more on that Sharatazah, Baba Kashaw.
God. It says, not all Irish were taskmasters. It's crucial to understand that not all Irish people were involved in such roles. Many Irish immigrants in the South were laborers themselves, working in various. That's it. It cuts off
Who
after that.
cares? Who
Right.
cares? Guess what? All of them wasn't taskmasters, but guess what? Some of them were slave owners. Let's get into that.
Right.
Let's get the good part. Okay? Let's get the good part. A lot of them were slave owners. They owned slaves. That killed the Black Past. I give the Irish Black Past a revoke. I'm revoking it right now because they owned plantations. They had slaves. It's on the internet. You can look it up. Stop going to that church and listening to your Christian pastor telling you to love everybody. Find some way to love master. Stop it. Stop it, man. It's ridiculous. It's pathetic. So let's read this article, man, on how the ginger snap people had plantations. They were slave owners, and you got the nerve to give them a black pass. You are not allowed to give another nation a black pass and call them black. Read.
I got the other half, the other screenshot.
Oh, we ain't going into the article. It says right here that they were slave owners.
Con, it says,
Oh, yeah, get that. Let's get it.
it, it says, okay, it says, not all Irish were taskmasters. It's crucial to understand that not all Irish people were involved in such roles. Many Irish immigrants in the South were laborers themselves, working in various occupations, including railroad construction. Irish overseers adaptation. Irish overseers needed to be as ruthless as their American counterparts to succeed within the brutal plantation system. Thi-
Hmm.
This demonstrates how immigrants adapted to the existing racial hierarchy and practices in the South to pursue their own economic advancement.
And the economic advancement was what? It was slavery, slave owning, slave master. Read that good part, Sharatazah.
It says Irish overseers needed to be as ruthless as their American counterparts to succeed within the brutal plantation system. This demonstrates how immigrants adapted to the existing racial hierarchy and practices in the South to pursue their own economic advancement.
That was it.
They got some more. It says the Irish relationship with U.S. slavery was complex and varied. While some became enslavers or overseers, others found the system distasteful but adapted to it for economic reasons.
Yeah, they so-called didn't like it, but if you don't like it, you won't participate in it. But you participated in it for economic reasons. All those pilgrims participated in slavery of owning slaves for economic reasons. They want to be on top. They want all the money. You get paid a little bit of nothing right now on your jobs, and they get paid all the money right now because of economic reasons. You get treated unfairly with this systematic racism, and they got you around here thinking you free, but all they did was sophisticate slavery. They sophisticated it. They call it employment, and you are an employee and they're the employer. When you're still a slave and they are the slave owner. All right? They are master and you still are a boy or you a gal. That's what's going on. Now let's read the article. Let's read the article that I've been saving towards the end of my class on what plantations they own. How many Irish people were slave owners? And you'll be amazed at the number. All right? I hope everybody take this class and share it, on the internet and let Irish people know you don't get a black pass. You get a pilgrim pass. Irish people, my bad, let me say this again. The redhead people, the Irish people, you don't get a black pass. You get a pilgrim pass. That's what you are. You are not black. You tormented us. You oppressed us. All right? And let's get it, Shabbat.
God. It says, historian unveils Irish heritage of hundreds of slave owners.
Hundreds of slave owners. Hundreds of slave owners. Not a few, not 10, hundreds. You are not black. Read.
A historian who discovered that at least 260 slave owners in the South Carolina in the 1800s were Irish born, has said the number is just the tip of the iceberg.
It's just the tip of the iceberg. You know,
Martine Branham from Kerry began researching Ireland's involvement in the slave trade after a DNA test revealed she had distant African American cousins in South Carolina. As I researched more, I came across other Irish people who also discovered distant relatives that were African American. Burnham told the Times yesterday.
let's
It
get past that part. Let's get past that part. Let's get to that slave owner. Yeah, of course they had Afri- African American people in their heritage because guess what happened? These Irish people, the slave owners, the taskmasters, what they did, they raped our women. They forced themselves on our women. You know, all of
right,
those pilgrims did that. They took the woman and raped the woman right in front of her husband's face, and he bet not say nothing. And give him back to her while she crying.
mm,
And you know that carried on from centuries to centuries to Rakazai, where our oppressors, just do anything to our women, and then when they so-called be out of slavery, wonder why our women don't respect us.
right,
Because a lot of brothers ain't have a spine to want to just go and unalive the oppressor like that, man. Some did though. Some of them fought back. Some of them showed that oppressor. You're not gonna do that to my black woman, but you're not gonna have a husband no more.
mm,
You're not gonna have a husband no more. But this was what the Irish did to us, the redheads. That saying, I'm black because I picked cotton too. No, you did that. Yeah, you came over here because you owed some debt. You want to work off the debt, you know. And after you worked off the debt, you became an overseer. You oppressed us, and then you owned slaves as well. All right, that's white supremacy, man. No, you cannot be part of us. Stay over there with with your pilgrims, because that's what you are. You were just a pilgrim that was on the bottom.
Right.
that worked yourself up to the top. That's all. All right. Any more left on the article?
It says, okay, in 2020, Branham began her enslavement to citizenship project, which focuses on South Carolina, where 40% of enslaved people brought to America entered the country. The work has so far found 260 Irish born slave owners and has involved extensive record searching through images of headstones, ar- archived letters, newspaper, obituaries, records of property, auction listings, and wills. Now it says it's mainly private records, so it is extremely difficult. Sometimes it is trying to get a hold of. Okay, let me skip that. Okay. Brannon added, tracking in the movement of enslaved people has made very difficult reading. She said it involves punishment books. They would lash children, cut their fingers, hands, and tongues off, cut their Achilles tendon so they couldn't run, starve them. The historian said the number of Irish slave owners will be a shock to many people. They were no different to any other slave owner.
Mm-mm-mm. Read that part right there, somebody, and read it slow.
It said the historian said the number of Irish slave owners will be a shock to many people. They were no different to any other slave owner.
You know.
It seems the suffering under British
No,
colonialism.
I need that part where you read about they were cutting people Achilles in their throat.
Oh,
I need
okay.
you to read. Yeah, start from that part. Yeah, that's the good part. That's what I want.
It says Brannon added, tracking the movement of enslaved people has made for very difficult reading. She said it involves punishment books. They would lash children, cut their fingers, hands, and tongues off, cut their Achilles tendon so they couldn't run, starve them.
This is what Irish people did. Read on.
The historian said the number of Irish slave owners would be a shock to many people. They were no different to any other slave owner. It seems the suffering under British colonialism, which forced some to America, did not translate into compassion for their fellow human being.
Man, how do Irish people get a black pass? How can you say they just like black people when they did this to my people?
Hmm.
That cannot take place. Your black pass is revoked. Ginger Snap Man,
Right.
uh, Leprechaun is revoked. Okay, you cannot get my black pass in no shape, form, or fashion. You are an oppressor. Be proud of it. Be proud and let your colors fly.
Right.
Uh, Don't try to come over this side of the gate when you done did so much horror on the other side of the gate. Don't try to run from who you are and the shame that you don't want to face because that's what's going on with these pilgrims. They don't want to face the shame, the horrific things you did to the black slaves, man. Now you want to say you was a slave. You was an indentured servant. You only had a couple of years of slavery and you was let go. You was free from your services that most of y'all volunteered to do. Ain't nobody forced you to do that. I say you had a couple of them that came from prison, or whatever arrangement you had going on. But it wasn't like black people that got put on slave ships, man.
Hmm.
Kidnapped and put on slave ships and was on the bottom of a boat, stacked on top of each other like sardines, man. You had to watch your brothers jump off the plank and get fed to sharks when they missing a limb. When the other pilgrims on the boat considered them to be no value at all, we had to watch our brothers and sisters die and be unalive and come over here to America and get sold to an auction. 25, 25, 35, 45, 55, 55 sold. to Master Johnson. No, you did not go through that, man. How dare you? And I blame them, and I blame those black Christian members of that church that try to give you a pass. No, you stay over there on the Mayflower. Stay over there on the Mayflower, man. You got all kind of names, the La Pinta or whatever. Stay over there on those boats. You didn't come on the slave boat. The boat. What that boat called? That slave boat called Jesus? No, you ain't come over there on that boat with a yoke of iron around your neck, chains on your feet and arms. Nah, you don't know the meaning to be black in America. You don't know it. All right. Let's get Jeremiah 14:2. Sharatazah.
God. It says,
First of all, yeah. Let's get that. I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna get Jeremiah 17:4. I'm gonna get that 14:2.
Jeremiah chapter 14 and verse 2. Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. They are black unto the ground.
Yeah, Judas mourneth, and their gate language, and they are blackened to the ground because our gates are weak. We have no protection, and that's why I call our condition black. It's a low state because of our protection, because of our leaders that supposed to protect us. Instead of protecting us, they give you black passes, Lucky Charms, Leprechaun. They want to give you a black pass so you can come in and devour my people. Because that's all you're going to do when we let you in. You're going to devour us, use us as a resource, make sure black people don't have nothing. You're going to take all the gold, just like a leprechaun do. Take all the gold from black people. Nah, stay over there, leprechaun. All right? We don't need your four-leaf clover. We don't need your love. We need you to stay with your people and prepare for World War III coming to you real soon. For all the overseering taskmaster, slave patrol, you being the police in New York, when they had the riots up there, when they tried to get you to go fight for black people, what they call the Civil War, whatever war they had, that was a war for them to, try to fight for the freedom of black people. And the Irish didn't want to see black people be free. We ain't free today. But you know what? They went to start attacking black people. They attacked black people because they didn't want to fight for them. They took out their anger on us, man. And to appease them, America let them be police officers, man. Let them get white privilege. They always gonna appease their people when they complain. But when we complain, you know what happens, Shalata? They deport us. They deport the Haitians. They deport the Mexicans. They deport the Israelites. You know, and all you black people that don't want to support the Mexicans, for all you black people that think you're better than them, you next. Keep it up. You next. You next, man. Don't think it can and don't think it cannot be you, man. All right. But our gates languish because of our Christian pastors, these Christian leaders, these black leaders, all of them Christians, and they love the oppressor. And they can't stand their people, man. When we complain and bring our complaints to our so-called protection, you know what they do? They tell us, hey, you should have just stopped. He should have just stopped. He shouldn't just resist you know, the police orders and stuff. They find some way to defend their white daddy. That's why we on the bottom. Because we have no protection. They protect the pain and suffering that's being placed on us. They make sure that it's enforced on us, man. They tell us all the propaganda and all the white supremacy that these oppressors want to bring down on us. They tell us, to stay in line and to operate with them. It's going to get better. You know, it has not ended what Martin Luther King started. It's going to succeed one day. Hey, man, that man got unalive so many years ago, and it has not happened yet. Huh? It would never happen because God don't want it to happen. It was set up to be this way, and can't no Christian, no Muslim, no religion on earth can stop what's going to happen. It was prophesied in the Bible, man. Let the word of God be true and never man a liar, man. You know what I'm saying? So read, warrior.
It says, and the cry of Jerusalem is gone up.
The Jews are in mourning. Those so-called Jewish people are they in mourning? They're in mourning right now because the bombs hit. But you know they still rich. They have protection. They have nuclear weapons. They say Iran don't have nuclear weapons. I don't know. I don't want to start doing the hearsay, but I know Israel, even though they got bombed, they have the United States, the ununited snakes of America. They have them. They have allies. They have a military, man. Black people, the real Jews, don't have a military, man. We don't have a government set up for us. Israel got all the money. Those Jewish people got all the money. They got their hands in every stock and bond. They have good protection. Oh, Donald Trump gonna make sure they protected, man. And even before Donald Trump, Joe Biden, all the United States presidents always took care of them. They made sure they had protection from the Germans. They made sure they had protection always, man. But do they protect us? No, because and we are in mourning because we always get unalive with no justice, man. With no justice at all. All right. But with that, hey man, that's my time. I just want to bring out that the Irish people, the leprechauns, do not get a black pass. You get some lucky charms, but you can't get a black pass. Not over here. All right, but Shirata, you got anything to say, man? You
Nah, nah.
Iraqi.
I'm too wild, man. I'm good to go.
All right, man. Shalom, Lord Christ.
Shalom.